Hello, friends, and welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am your host, Tom Downey. Many of you have been asking about the NFL draft and who the Cowboys could or should take. So we're taking a look at the early top 5 candidates. And yes, please make note, it is January. Much will change come the actual NFL draft time. We begin at safety because I don't know about you guys. I'm ready to get hurt again. I am ready to get back out there, fall in love with a safety, and have the Cowboys not take them. Now, my number one guy, and he's going to be with a guy we'll discuss later on, is Grant Delpit out of LSU. He did not play as well in 2019 as he did in 2018. There were some tackling issues. You got to figure out, okay, well, was that the ankle injury that he had? Was he trying to play a little bit more cautiously to not affect his long-term injury and get hurt his draft stock, or did he just not play that well? I wonder if it's a little bit of a combination of all of those. The big selling point, though, with Grant Delpit, he's really good in coverage. And the Dallas Cowboys, now that Byron Jones is playing corner, where he should have been playing for a while, they don't have a tight end eraser. Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, Jeff Heath, Xavier Woods, they tried all those guys against tight ends. None of them really worked. Grant Delpit would come in, he would be a tight end stopper, and he could play deep as a true free safety. If you want Jamal Adams, he's a box safety. Grant Delpit, he's more of a true free safety. And looking ahead to the need perspective of this, and we'll do it for all the players positions we discuss. Safety's a big one. You have Xavier Woods, Donovan Wilson can't get on the field. Everybody else is a free agent. That's Jeff Heath, Kevon Frazier, Darian Thompson. And the reason I am even entertaining the idea of a round 1 safety is the Cowboys explored the trade for Jamal Adams. They clearly want to upgrade it for the first time in a long time, almost I would say dating back to Darren Woodson, for being quite honest. And the good news for the Cowboys is there are options even beyond Grant Delpit. So Delpit's my number 1 safety target for Dallas, but I like Xavier McKinney a lot. Ashton Davis I'm coming around on because I am willing to move Xavier Woods to strong safety. Wasn't really on board with that in the middle of this year, but he kind of stopped progressing and making plays in the way I saw earlier in the offseason. Brandon Jones from Texas. I am a huge Antoine Winfield guy. I want him desperately in round 2. That's who I truly want, but we're talking about round 1, and that's Delpit more so than Winfield. Also, a name to watch out for from Lenore Ryan. If you don't know where that is, I understand. It's middle of nowhere. Kyle Duggar, small school safety, could be maybe a late day 2, early day 3 option. But let me know in the comments section as we go through my top 5, one at each position, by the way. Who do you want the Cowboys to draft in the first round? Let me know in the comments section. If you're watching on YouTube, you might get an ad break here. If you do, scroll on down the pinned comment. That's this question. You can reply to it right there. Moving on now to cornerback, another LSU player, Kristian Fulton. He was not number 1 for them this year at the position. That was actually Derek Stingley, who's a true freshman, not eligible. But make no mistake, Fulton is an incredible prospect. I like him a lot. He's my number 2 corner early right now. A little bit of a guy we'll discuss in a minute. You're not going to get Jeffrey Okudah. Sorry, not going to happen. Maybe you can get Fulton. Maybe he just slides past, say, Denver and the Falcons, picking a few spots before you. He can come in and start right away, and I know what you're thinking. You have been burned by an LSU first-round cornerback before. Kristian Fulton is not Morris Claiborne. Don't scout the helmet, scout the player. Fulton is a damn good prospect. Now, maybe he doesn't make a ridiculous amount of interceptions. That's okay. As long as you're not getting beat, which didn't really happen to Fulton this year, I'm willing to overlook that. So I like Fulton a lot as a prospect. Of the guys we're discussing, I think he might be one of the least likely to actually end up falling to you and being on the board for the Dallas Cowboys at the beginning, or in the middle part of that first round. And at the cornerback position, you're thin, especially looking at the free agency. Byron Jones, Anthony Brown, CJ Goodwin are all free agents. That leaves Donovan Olumba, Jordan Lewis, Chidobe Awuzie, Chris Westry as your options, plus Deontay Burton and DJ White. You got 2 at most starters on there, and many of you have been trying to move on from Awuzie and move him to safety. So you need to figure out the corner position. And if you don't keep Byron Jones, corner becomes one of, if not your outright biggest need by the time we get free agency and the NFL draft. So speaking of Byron, what do you guys want to do with him? Type K for keep or L for let him walk and leave. You guys know how I feel about Byron. I wanted to move to corner, and he was so much better at corner than he was at safety. He does not make plays on the football, but it doesn't allow yards either. That's kind of a big deal for me. I need at least one of those things out of my corner. So I am on board with keeping Byron Jones, but if you want to go cheaper, that's fine. You can use that money elsewhere. Maybe it's keeping Quinn at defensive end / outside linebacker, depending on what scheme the Cowboys run. More on that coming up. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Now, if you don't want Fulton, there are other cornerbacks available in this year's draft class. Trayvon Diggs, Stefan's brother, he could be a fit. I think he would be a type of player the Cowboys like. Got some speed questions there. I like C.J. Henderson. Kind of a little bit concerned it's maybe an example of a better version of Awuzie. Watch out for Jeff Gladney. Kind of quiet right now. Less from the local perspective because I know he's TCU. He's going to draw, I think, some first-round interest. A.J. Terrell and Bryce Hall might be second-round guys. Hall got injury problems, but I like him a lot. All of those guys could be options if you don't go with Kristian Fulton or if you wait beyond round 1. Now, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI. Head over to chatsports.com/bet and use that promo code you see on your screen. It's Cowboys120. That gets you a 120% deposit bonus. We're talking about the draft right now. They had combine prop bets last year. I made a killing, and you can too. It's chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code Cowboys120. Next up is a player that many of you have mentioned in the comments on various shows before. That's Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina. We're going back to the defensive line well, and Kinlaw certainly looks the part. He's listed at about 6'6", 310 pounds. I think he's a little bit shorter than that, but that's the nature of college football. They almost always lie about their heights and weights. It's the program size, as I like to call it. But he's got massive arms, and under Mike Nolan, you're going to see a little bit more two-gapping, and I think Kinlaw can do that better than, say, maybe a Tristan Hill, already on the roster, for example. He was better his senior year at South Carolina. Now, he only finished with 6 sacks and 6 tackles for loss, but A, he got all of the attention on that defensive line, which isn't much of a surprise because it's South Carolina. He also kind of slowed down a little bit. That is a bit of a red flag to me, but I see the upside. I see the potential. I see somebody who, if you're trying to find the next Chris Jones, the Chiefs defensive lineman, this might end up being your opportunity. This might end up being your guy if that is the type of player you want. A long, lanky, athletic interior presence who can not just be a penetrator, but can also be a two-gapper. That might be a big deal for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, of course, you just spent your top pick, a round 2 pick, on Tristan Hill. And the production their final years had some similarities, almost identical tackles. Kinlaw had more sacks. Tristan Hill had more tackles for loss. Tristan Hill also, I don't think, based on what I've seen from both of those players, got the same amount of attention. So he had better opportunities. When opposing teams played South Carolina, they were like, oh, God, we have to stop Kinlaw. And they did sometimes. Against Alabama, though, and I'll give credit to that game, it was a more important game for Kinlaw, he did have a sack. That's at least noteworthy. And if you're getting 6 sacks in college in fewer games, knowing that college defensive linemen don't put up the same numbers that Fletcher Cox, J.J. Watts, and Aaron Donalds do, that's noteworthy for me. And on the defensive line, we'll talk about edge here in a second, but on the interior, you got a giant question mark across the board. Malik Collins, Antoine Wood, your 2 starters, they are free agents. Woods is an RFA. They might not be back. Daniel Ross, Christian Covington, both free agents. Michael Bennett, a free agent. And if you release or try and restructure Tyrone Crawford, you are so thin on the interior, even if it's not round 1, you're going to have to find some depth and add somebody on the defensive line in the draft or at a bunch of different veteran free agents. That is noteworthy for the Dallas Cowboys. I am curious to see what route they're going to end up going. Now, if you want to stay up to date on draft for the Dallas Cowboys, free agency trades, and really everything about the offseason, subscribe to us here on the Cowboys Report. You will not miss anything if you have those notifications turned on and if you're subscribed. So do it today and hit that big red button. Now, the player we did not mention here in the defensive tackle discussion was one Derrick Brown, and I love him. I would love nothing more than to get Derrick Brown on my team. Maybe you've seen him on Twitter. There are some clips out there of Derrick Brown just abusing SEC defensive or offensive line double teams. It's impressive what he's able to do. He'd be a perfect fit for Dallas, but he's way more likely to go top 10 than fall to number 17. So I love Vita Vea. I love Derrick Brown. Not going to get my hopes up for those guys. But Derrick Brown kind of is my dream first-round pick, excluding the Chase Youngs of the world, But I want to hear from you guys. Who is your dream first-round pick in the 2020 NFL Draft? Name any player you want. Doesn't have to be realistic. It's a dream. That's the whole point of it. Let me know what you guys are thinking and hoping for in the comments section. Some other defensive tackles I do want to make note of and just acknowledge. I'm not the biggest Raekwon Davis fan, but I'm sure there are some out there. Neville Gallimore, I think, especially come combine time, is going to leap up draft boards because he's going to test really, really well. Leki Fotu, if you want a true one technique, a fat boy, which I love on the defensive line, that's Fotu. Also, watch out for other sleepers who could rise up, Jordan Elliott and Justin Madubuike. We'll see exactly where they end up going. All right, edge is next up here. A couple different options. I almost went with the Boise State guy, but we'll talk about him later on. It's Gross-Matos, the Penn State edge rusher. He is the type of player that historically what the Cowboys have targeted in terms of edge guys fits pretty well. He's a really good athlete. That's less of the Taco Charlton type, more of the Randy Gregory type. Looking for a potential comparison there. Has the physical tools. I think he's going to test really, really well, and his production did improve as he kind of matured and growed at Penn State. The thing I like about him is, amidst the uncertainty of what the Cowboys' defensive scheme is going to go, he makes us an early target. He can play 3-4 outside linebacker, or more he did at Penn State, a 4-3 defensive end. Still kind of a little bit raw and developing, but that's often the case when you're looking at defensive end prospects coming out early in the NFL draft in that mid to late first round range. You have DeMarcus Lawrence, but beyond that, Robert Quinn's a free agent. We'll see about Tyrone Crawford. Kerry Hyder, your number 3 guy's a free agent. Like, you could legitimately end up with a scenario where you come draft time, you've got DeMarcus Lawrence and Dorrance Armstrong and Joe Jackson and Jalen Jelks. That's not going to get the job done. You better find some more help because in reality, you cannot count whatsoever on Randy Gregory. All right, some other names to watch out for. 2 Notre Dame players, Julian Okwara and Khalid Kareem. If you want a comparison just briefly, remember when Leonard Floyd came out and Jordan Jenkins were both at Georgia? Well, Okwara is more of your Floyd, Jenkins is more of your Kareem. Clavon Chasen, if you move 3-4, I like that fit even more. I do like Curtis Weaver. I almost put him on here. I wonder if he's a little bit later than the number 17 overall pick, not quite a top 20 guy. But we do know how the Cowboys feel about those Boise State products. And Terrell Lewis, I will make note, injury red flags, talent-wise, worthy, though, of being a first-round pick. Now, today's show, we've got a little deal for you guys as well. Head over to chatsports.com/Cowboys. There is Cowboys gear up to 50% off right now. Go check it out. Check the description, by the way. Check the comments of this video, too. I'm trying to make your guys' life a little bit easier. There is a clickable link for you guys. All you got to do is head over to chatsports.com/Cowboys. Go shop. Hoodies, shoes, t-shirts, all kinds of items are on sale right now at chatsports.com/Cowboys. All right, the final draft target here, and do notice how I kind of worked my way through a player for each position that makes sense. Receiver is next up here. Henry Ruggs is going to be the fastest player in the 2020 NFL Draft. He is going to run, I believe, in the 4.3s or maybe even the 4.2s. That is how fast Henry Ruggs is. And the Cowboys could use some more speed. You have potentially Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup and Randall Cobb. Maybe not all of the guys are going to go with Henry Ruggs. Talk more about that in a second. But none of those guys are true burner deep threats. Henry Ruggs can come in and immediately be the fastest player on your team. And in the NFL, speed matters. You're not going to find a faster guy than Henry Ruggs. You bring him in and you immediately upgrade your wide receiver room. The question mark is, though, here for the Dallas Cowboys is what's going to happen with the wide receiver room and the depth chart on that front. That's going to be a big deal for the Cowboys. So you have Amari Cooper and Randall Cobb are both free agents. If you re-sign both of those guys, I don't think it makes sense to add a 4th receiver in round 1. But if you lose one of them, maybe if it's even you just lose Cobb, you keep Cooper and Gallup, maybe you just want to score all of the points. And I am okay with that mindset. The reason, and we'll talk more about this in a little bit, it's such a strong receiver class, I would be more willing to wait a little bit, pass on a round 1 receiver, even wait to day 3, you're going to find some options. Now, I already hear you guys complaining, and I saw and mentioning it on previous videos. CeeDee Lamb. Do not get me wrong. I would love to have him on the team. I think he would be a fantastic addition. He kind of reminds me, a little bit smaller version, of DeAndre Hopkins. Great at contested catches and great after the catch and not really the fastest guy out there. I don't see him getting to 17. I don't think you trade up for him. So because of that, I love CeeDee Lamb, but don't get your hopes up for him just like Derrick Brown. Some other receivers to watch out for. You got a variety of guys. Laviska Shenault has injury concerns. Higgins is a bigger-bodied guy. KJ Hamler, I wonder if you could get him with your second-round pick, but he's got speed. He could be your long-term slot guy. And then this kid just balled out in the CFP semifinal. Justin Jefferson has played slot at LSU. He's going to get pushed down because it's such a strong receiver class, and that's why I say in general at receiver, maybe you wait a little bit, focus on defense in the early rounds, and you can still get an impact receiver later on in the NFL draft. But I do want to know what you guys think. What should be the early round focus? Type O for offense, D for defense. I'm all for scoring more points. I think that defense, because of your needs and the way the draft should fall, I think defense should be your early round focus in 2020. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.